fam. Thanks for
tuning in. We have a jam-packed episode for you.
You know that was my line.
Well, you always have all the lines, so put me in the game, coach.
All right, girl, go on ahead. I'm Jada Graham.
And I'm Kiana Dorsey. As you know, the election is near and politics are buzzing. Quite literally. Keeping up with Washington keeps you in the know.
Welcome back to Keeping Up with Washington, where we'll bring you the scoop on all things politics. I'm Esther Animalou.
And I'm Kelsey Walker. Let's dive right in.
President Donald Trump has tested negative for the coronavirus on consecutive days, according to a White House physician. This is the first disclosure of the president's status since he revealed his diagnosis earlier this month. Dr. Sean Conley said in a brief memo shared hours before Trump was scheduled to host a re-election campaign rally in Florida that the president's latest COVID-19 results came from an antigen test. Conley's memo noted that a variety of laboratory data all show the virus is no longer active in the president's body. However, Conley's memo did not specify on which consecutive days Trump had tested negative. Since Trump announced on October 2nd that he and First Lady Melania Trump tested positive for the virus, the White House has consistently refused to answer when the president last tested negative before his positive diagnosis. Knowing when the president last tested negative could provide crucial information about when he was infected and by whom, as well as whom Trump may have exposed the virus to.
It's very alarming that there's not enough transparency happening on the Hill, Esther.
Definitely, Kelsey. All we can do is sit and watch.
The Senate Judiciary Committee kicked off the 4-day Supreme Court confirmation hearings for Federal Appeals Court Judge Amy Coney Barrett. The Senate appeared consistently divided about President Trump's nominee for the Supreme Court. Democratic representatives displayed Judge Barrett's nomination as a misuse of power from President Trump and suggested that conservative Judge Barrett would overturn many human rights that Justice Ginsburg fought for, such as abortion rights and the Affordable Health Care Act. On the other side, Republican representatives praised Judge Barrett for her broad resume and her convincing personal story, religious faith, and values. Amy Coney Barrett expressed her background and influence from the late conservative Justice Antonin Scalia in an opening statement to the Senate, revealing that she would be the only woman with school-age children to serve on the court, as well as the only justice who didn't graduate from Harvard or Yale. The questioning process from the Senate highlights include Amy Coney Barrett resisting to give her views on Roe v. Wade, her persistent agenda to stick to the rule of the law, and Judge Barrett's constant refusal to answer how she may judge cases before the High Court if confirmed.
I wonder what's going to happen next in the hearings.
I definitely am too. We'll just have to stay tuned.
And that's a wrap for Keeping Up with Washington. Thanks for watching.
It may be unclear who will win the election, but we do know who won the NBA Finals. Athletic Aesthetic gives us the highlights.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to your favorite segment, Athletic Aesthetic. I'm TB. Where's my partner in crime? JW. You there?
And I'm JW. What's going on, Taj?
You scared me for a second. I thought you went missing on me.
No, not me. But one former WNBA star was reported missing twice this week. Cappie Pondexter was mistakenly thought to have disappeared after she refused to identify herself to police following an arrest for a misdemeanor battery charge.
Yes, the two-time WNBA champion was in downtown Los Angeles when she was arrested by LAPD and taken into custody. Because she refused to show her ID, she was declared as a Jane Doe, which made her friends and her family think she was a missing person.
Thankfully, her manager, Chuck Walton, has since cleared up the confusion and reported that she has been found and is out of jail.
Yeah, it looks like Cappie was capping. But in all seriousness, we're glad Pondexter is home safe, and she has since thanked her teammates and fans for the outpour of love and support.
Speaking of love and support, LeBron demands to put some respect on his name and the entire LA Lakers franchise. After the finals championship win against the Heat, it looks like our predictions from last episode ended up being correct, right, Taj?
Yeah, definitely. They deserve the respect. This will be the first Lakers championship since 2010. LeBron even dedicated this win to the late Kobe Bryant.
I know this win means a lot to Kobe's family and to the entire city of LA, and it was great to see LeBron take home MVP. Now, after being away from his family for 3 months, he can finally get home and deal with Bronny and that video of him smoking.
Yeah, I guess the Heat won't be the only thing LeBron's beating this weekend.
In less exciting news, Dallas Cowboys QB Dak Prescott sadly broke and dislocated his ankle during a recent game against the Giants.
Yeah, that was a tough blow for the Cowboys. Losing their star quarterback in such a horrific injury will definitely place a strain for a successful season going forward.
I agree. Prescott's injury is especially unfortunate for the Cowboys after he was just about to negotiate a big new contract with the team. The injury was a tough play to watch, but at least the Cowboys were still able to manage a win. I wish we could say the same for our Miami Hurricanes.
Sadly, the Canes were defeated by Clemson. This is the first matchup where two ACC teams were both ranked in the AP Polls top 10.
Although we lost, a lot of our athletes made some great plays. Junior DJ Ivy scored a field goal return in the second quarter.
To it, blocked, and the Canes have a chance. 20, 10, Wiggins with a blocked field goal, an electric play, and Miami suddenly has life, exactly what they needed.
Hopefully we'll see more plays like that next week.
Well, that's all the time we have for Athletic Aesthetic.
We'll see you guys next time.
We love to see our athletes serving it up on the court, but what about in the kitchen? The goulash is cooking up something yummy.
Hey Culture fans,
What's up, everybody?
I'm Ari,
And I'm Danita.
and on today's episode of The Goulash,
We're making British cupcakes.
but we're gonna do things a little bit differently, so let's reverse back to the beginning. Ingredients are vanilla extract, butter and eggs, sugar, and flour.
And for our wet ingredients, we have milk, icing sugar, butter, vanilla extract, food coloring. In this bowl, we have our sugar and our butter. We kind of messed up and we don't have an electric mixer. So we're going back to the olden days and mixing by hand. And we finally mix the butter and the sugar.
The thing about Miami fall is that there really isn't a fall. There is no vibe. People wear sweatshirts and it's 70 degrees, and I'm not gonna lie, I am one of those people. So the most you can do is decorate fall cupcakes. These are the finished cupcakes. Oh my goodness, these are good!
Ooh, those cupcakes were some kind of good.
I don't know about you, Danita, but I definitely have the itis.
Me
So I
too.
let my good sis close out. I'm going to bed.
Catch us next time on another episode of The Goulash.
Hold on, Gordon Ramsay's calling. I'm gonna take this, but we'll be back right after the break.
We are back on, like Cardi B and Offset. Or are they off? I cannot even keep up with the saga, but thankfully Hella Shade can.
Welcome back to another edition of Hella Shade. We're back with more tea, more mess, and most of all, more shade. I'm Aisha.
I'm Julian. And I'm Joshua.
And let's just dive right in. Our Libra queen, Cardi B.
She is not my queen. She over here posting nude photos of herself on the internet. Not queen-like behavior to me.
Okay, well, anyways, she had a celebrity-studded birthday bash, and of those celebrities was the man that she recently filed a divorce against, Offset?
Offset's been doing the most to win her back, finding her a Rolls-Royce truck, a billboard, and they stayed kissing all night, couldn't pull them apart.
And seen, divorce is definitely about to be called off. We'll be back to the rocky marriage, the cheating scandals, buying the Birkin bag, so I guess everything's back to normal.
Listen, in other female rapper news, Megan Thee Stallion has written an honest, vulnerable opinion article for the New York Times, bringing to light the harsh realities Black women face in America.
Listen, while I stand my good sis speaking up for the things that matter, I do think it's a little unfortunate that she's had to stop living her young turnt life and become Bernice King just because people decided to abuse her. But nonetheless, while Megan's changing the times, Tory Lanez has been officially indicted and he's facing time.
And ain't it about time that the Real Housewives of New York has some Black representation? Enter Ebony K. Williams.
Listen, what do these shows want from us? Do they want participation trophies? Do they want "You're Not Racist" awards? Because I'm not seeing how it took the Real Housewives of New York over a decade to introduce Black representation. That's not justice to me.
Seems pretty performative to me.
And you know another injustice? The fact that the Black housewives actually have to work while their white counterparts do nothing all day but sitting in the house drinking champagne. But we could spend all day talking about the mess in the Housewives franchise, so that's the end of this segment. See you next time on Hella Shade.
In other news, the student government hosts their very first What Matters to You event, featuring a very special guest. 305 to My City reports.
Last Thursday, What Matters to You had their first event of the semester. What Matters to You is a series that brings in leaders and changemakers to discuss current events and important topics. And last week, Sabrina Fulton was the invited guest speaker. Our student government president, Abigail Adelecki, had the opportunity to be a moderator for this event, and this was her most important takeaway from Ms. Fulton.
I think for me, it was to not give up hope. I think especially when you see a lot of the things that are happening in this world, it's a little bit discouraging. But I think one of the things that she really said that stuck with me, she's like, sometimes I feel discouraged too, but I find the will to keep going, and that's all you can do. All you can do is just keep moving forward, keep doing everything that you possibly can. And it's you don't have to do everything, but you gotta do something.
Ms. Fulton discussed many topics, including the Black Lives Matter movement, her campaign for the role of a Miami-Dade County Commissioner, political activism, and her wishes for the young generation of today.
We need to groom our young people now. And I put all my faith in the young people. I believe that our young people are resilient. I believe they're not gonna give up. And so when these things hit hard, they're gonna get to work and they're gonna get busy and they're not gonna let up.
This is Jaden DeGrace, reporting to you from the Culture.
I'm so glad that Sabrina Fulton shared her insight with students as she continues to fight for justice. Well, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
We're back from break, just in time to have a very important discussion. Do our favorite Black TV shows perpetuate stereotypes? Let's hear what the Roundtable has to say.
Hello and welcome to this segment of the Roundtable. My name is Leslie Ann Dominique, and I'm joined by my co-hosts,
Reese Pitts,
Isaiah Walker,
and Ivana Belonga.
All right, so the topic of discussion is Black Hollywood. First and foremost, how do we perpetuate stereotypes in our Black films and our Black television shows when we're trying to fight those very own stereotypes in our society?
So the word stereotype is really a hot topic right now. I hear everybody talking about it, and especially Black people talking about it in reference to Tyler Perry films. Now, personally, growing up on Medea films, having a grandma who was very lively and hood, let me just say that, it was very relatable to me. But I also can understand how some people might see Medea and the different characters played within the Medea films as a stereotype and as an exaggeration of African American culture.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that while there are these kind of stereotypes that kind of do have little tinges of truth, I think it's important that there's still that diversity, you know what I mean? There can be, that loud, Black person or that angry Black person or whatever, but it needs to be for every person that you have that is that kind of front of the line stereotype, there needs to be an alternative, that needs to be counteracted by other types of characters, because we don't want to just portray that single narrative of this is how Black people are.
While I do commend Tyler Perry for what he's done for the Black community, he really has done a lot in Hollywood. At the same time, I can't lie and say that a lot of these stereotypes are negative for Black women. They portray Black women as being unintelligent or aggressive, and even the fact that Medea is played by a man donates to the idea that Black women are defeminized.
Definitely, yeah. And I think the topic of stereotypes really brings up the question of colorism as well, because this idea that light-skinned minorities are given more of an advantage than dark-skinned people is very prevalent in the entertainment industry. And although colorism is a result of white supremacy, it really does have deep implications in the Black community when it comes to professional opportunities. These casting agents, a lot of the time, fail to hire dark-skinned women in roles that don't directly feed into these negative stereotypes, the angry Black woman, the combative Black woman, and light-skinned women a lot of the time are given roles that are seen as more desirable and more pleasant. So this really is an issue that we need to acknowledge and tackle in our community.
Exactly, and I believe we saw this more recently when Zoe Saldana was casted to play Nina Simone in her biopic. Now, Nina Simone was known for using her art to describe the marginalism of dark-skinned Black women, and she loved being a dark-skinned Black woman. So to have an Afro-Latina light-skinned woman to play Nina Simone was just kind of, it was kind of disturbing to me, because you could have chosen any amazing dark-skinned actresses. There's such a wide range of Black talent, but they chose Zoe Saldana to play Nina Simone.
Yeah, and the fact that they went through the entire hassle of darkening her skin tone and making her wear a prosthetic nose just so that she could like appear to be a dark-skinned woman when they could have just casted a dark-skinned woman, I find that ridiculous.
Right, and you hit it on the head. You said that they failed to cast people. That's exactly what it is, a failure. You look at examples like Kenya Barris, he's got 4 shows out with a total of 3 dark-skinned characters between all of them. Our entire panel is darker than the darkest character in his new show, Black Excellence, is coming out, which is kind of ridiculous. Obviously, we're here, so why aren't we represented in our movies and TV?
All right, so clearly, Black Hollywood, we're looking at you with a side eye, but that's all the time we have for today. We'll see you next time at the Roundtable.
Colorism belongs to the streets. Speaking of which, word on the street gets to the bottom of some interesting relationship dynamics.
I'm Kayla.
And I'm Iris.
And we're back with Word on the Street. Ooh. Would you rather be submissive or dominant in a relationship?
Miss Jackson.
Dominant.
Oh, dominant.
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 I would say dominant.
Definitely dominant.
How come?
Just like as a guy, that's typically how it is.
Women like a man that can take charge.
They do?
They do.
That's not what I heard today.
So what do you like?
And Cause like I like to be in control.
That's just what I prefer. It's what I feel more comfortable with.
He wants you to be a little bit more submissive. Would you do it?
Nah.
I guess submissive.
Submissive, totally.
I'd probably rather be dominant, but knowing myself, I'm like more submissive.
Submissive.
Okay, why?
To be nicer.
Because I don't like making choices.
Submissive.
The opposite.
It really just depends on the person. I feel like, you know, whatever energy they giving me, like I gotta adapt.
So what if she's like really independent and really headstrong? Like, would you still want to be the only dominant one?
I mean, that's a turn on, you know. Some women, seeing an independent woman, it's a turn on. So, I mean, if she want to take control, by all means.
I'm definitely willing to listen. I'm not a dictator.
Okay, so he said he'll play both roles, is what I'm hearing.
Like, if she was like really dominant, would you play the submissive role?
You mean in terms of like sexually, or are you talking about like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean?
I just mean in general, like
in terms of like decisions?
Yeah, like the dynamic.
Yeah. No, yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all.
Who would you say is more submissive or dominant in our relationship?
Well, naturally, I'm the older one, so I would say I'm more dominant.
But naturally, I'm taller, so...
What does that have to do with anything? But you know what? We just match each other pretty well.
I guess you're right. We dominate the show.
That we do. My back hurts from carrying this show. But while you're here, make sure you follow us on our socials at the bottom of the screen. Until next time, I'm Jada Graham.
And I'm Kiana Dorsey, and you've just been
Cultured.